Every year we have to have an annual meeting, so we just want to welcome you to the meeting. And there will be an opportunity at the end to ask questions and also complete a survey. So if you have a question, please hold on to that and we'll be able to address those at the end. Okay, so if we go to our reading support staff, we have several people who are included in the planning and the decision making here in our district. I am new to my role as Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and I help to oversee the Title I services and programming for our district. Also included, Donna Krieger is not here tonight, but she's our literacy coordinator for the district. She helps support as well. We have Jamie Kirsch here with us on the call, one of our instructional coaches who helps also a lot with language arts and the title team, a lot of family engagement, support and services through her. April Brofield, who's got my back with the presentation, she helps coach with our literacy and also does some coaching for our district with our PIC grant, which I know you've heard a little bit about before. And also a support for our staff. And then we have several title teachers who are included here in this call. Kim, Trisha, Kathy, Shantice, Cindy, and Sue, many of whom are here tonight and will have a little part in our presentation, but many of them are either new to this role or new to our district in a role this year. So we're really excited about that, and we're working together to build that team each and every day. So thanks everyone for being here and participating in this meeting tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to Sue. She's going to talk a little bit about our Title I overview and what that looks like for our district. So Sue?
Great. All right, so what is Title I? Title I is actually a piece of federal legislation that has been around since 1965 and is currently part of what is called the Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA. And in essence, Title I is that piece of legislation that is a funding source for schools with that purpose to reduce or close achievement gaps among its students. And we intend to do that by ensuring that all children have a fair and equal opportunity for that high quality education. For the Antigo School District, these funds enable the district to support its students' achievement with additional academic resources and services. Those schools receiving Title I funds operate as either what is known as a school-wide program or a targeted assistance program, which will both be explained a bit more later in this presentation. On the right side of the slide, you see that some of the elements of the Title I program being presented in this, and that will be presented in this meeting tonight, are program plan design, which guides the district's goals and implementation of the program. Appropriately licensed teachers that have been specially trained to provide services. A needs assessment, which helps to identify and direct where our services are needed. Family engagement, because we know that you and every family can make a difference. And that there is equitable participation with the students of our parochial schools. As we know, eventually all of the parochial students do come together as one at our high school. And coordination with early childhood care providers, because that is where it can all start, and there is great value to that. So the following slide presentation will continue to explain these components further.
All right, thank you, Sue. Nice work. So this year we are doing a lot of work in our district and in every school about goal alignment. And our district team of administrators are confirming right now drafts of student achievement goal, school conditions goal, and a leadership goal. And then our schools will each individually have their own student achievement goal, a school conditions goal, which is almost finalized, and then how they might tie into our leadership goal as well. So we have actually aligned our title plans. Each school has a very comprehensive title plan that includes all those elements that Sue just said into our continuous improvement plan, so that we are using streamlined data sources, streamlined action plans to make sure that we are achieving each of these components and working together, because all of our schools are actually school-wide schools. We have no targeted schools in our district. They're all school-wide title schools. So that means that each and every teacher in our buildings are actually part of this planning process and the outcomes. So it's really exciting to be able to align some of these things and help them support one another, including our services within our resources of human resources, financial resources, and then also see where those outcomes support the work that we're doing. So just wanted to share this visual because it just shows how the alignment we're trying to create, and that we're using this platform to measure and gauge our success. So some of the intended outcomes, we can go to the next slide, thank you, April. Some of the intended outcomes for the title program are listed here, and Sue talked a little bit about some of those. I just want to explain them a little bit more. So for our parent engagement, this is something that should be ongoing, and you'll see later in the presentation we have a timeline of some very nice activities we're hoping to roll out virtually this year, which is a little different than what we're used to, but we're aimed at improving student learning. So we know that family engagement activities are always nice when there's activities, but how can we also tie in the learning? That's kind of the key piece here in keeping consistent with the planning processes and procedures that are necessary for the alignment of the funding sources we receive. That comprehensive needs assessment takes data from each school, and then we determine, our teachers and our literacy resource teachers here tonight determine the highest needs and how we're going to deploy strategies to help out our families, both at the universal level where all students would receive that information or strategy, or at a targeted small group interaction. So there's a couple levels of strategies that we use there, which leads right to the next one. We're always looking to improve our structures and strengthen our academic outcomes for each and every child. And since we are a school-wide title program, we can help our classroom teachers find best strategies for them, also support and coach in those capacities, but then also provide enrichment or acceleration for students at each and every school. In our coordination efforts, we have to have intentional connections to what we are doing to our outcomes and how our finances are aligned. So that has to align with federal, state, and local funding sources, and it's very streamlined in our planning processes as well. And then every year, we will look at our data, look at what we did during the year in either a large group or small group targeted setting, and then we monitor and revise as we go on to always improve our outcomes and grow as a systemic group of support services for our students at every level. So there's a lot of planning and procedures and processes that goes into this school-wide continuous improvement plan, but it also is an effort that all of our staff make together, and we're excited about our continued growth in that. So now we're going to get a little bit more into what it means in a school-wide versus a targeted program, and Cindy is going to talk us through that.
All right. The main difference between a school-wide program and a targeted program is how we use the funds in the school, if it's staff or resources. And in the school-wide program, which all of our schools are in the Inigo District, we can service all students. So all students can receive resources. All students and families are invited to family engagement activities. All staff are involved, and once again, all the students. The targeted schools, the Title I funds, be it a staff person or materials, can only be used to improve the academic achievement of the identified Title I students. So there's a process that we go through based on multiple pieces of information that establishes who is in most need, and those students, that's where the focus is for Title I. And Title I cannot go outside that particular group of students that have been identified in the building. So the two buildings that we do have Title I targeted services are All Saints and Peace Lutheran. So they do have a teacher there that targets those students. And once again, the Schoolwide is for everyone. So some students who are identified through the needs assessment need extra supports, and other students receive supports through coaching and through collaboration of teachers, the Title I teachers, the reading teachers with the classroom teachers and others. So that's the main difference between those two different types of service that Title I provides.
All right, thank you, Cindy. And now Kim is going to talk a little bit about school compacts and what that means.
Okay. The students in our district, their teachers, principals, and parents or caregivers are all a team, and we commit to responsibilities to help all students be successful learners. As parent guardians or caregivers, your responsibilities include encouraging good study habits, which include a quiet study time and helping with homework when needed, talking with your child every day about his or her school activities and learning, reinforcing respect for self and others by being a good model, encouraging good reading habits by reading to or with your child, as well as reading yourself, and reinforcing respect for yourself and others by being a good model. The compacts for this year should be going home soon if you have not received it already. If you're an elementary parent, please sign and return your compact showing that you agree to these responsibilities.
All right, thank you, Kim. And then the next slide is about the different roles of the Title I teacher. And I believe that the person who's going to do this slide tonight wasn't able to make it. So I am going to, Tom just said something about recording, and I'm hoping that it is being recorded in some capacity because we're hoping on sharing this out.
Yep,
So,
Dustin's got it handled.
And Amy, I can share on this because I helped Trisha a little bit on this.
Oh, thank you. What did Amanda say something?
No, Dustin's gonna separate the champs and the title meeting, so you'll have that block as a.
All right, thank you, Dustin, rock star.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, April, for sharing out on Trisha's slide.
Yeah, so Trisha Willie is the East Elementary Title I Literacy Resource Teacher, and she couldn't be here tonight because she's not feeling well, so I worked on this with her, so I'm going to share a little bit about the roles of a Title I teacher. And I just wanted to clarify, when we talk about a Title I teacher, we're talking about literacy specialists that have an area or have expertise in the area of teaching reading, and they can provide services to students based on the students' needs in a variety of ways. So one way that teachers, Title I teachers and literacy resource teachers serve students is through small group instruction. And what that is just when teachers take small groups of students and give them targeted instruction based on their learning needs. And oftentimes that's what we call a push-in service, which means that it is occurring in the general education classroom. Sometimes that occurs out of the classroom, and we call those pull-out services. There can also be one-to-one instruction, which is individualized for that student based on their needs and happens, in their own pace and in their own way. So those are really customized, individualized lesson plans for specific students and their needs. So those are generally pull-out services, like I said. And another way that Title I teachers serve students is through collaboration with other teachers. So even if your child doesn't work directly with a Title I teacher in a small group or in a one-to-one setting, what they do, the Title I teacher collaborates with their classroom teacher, with instructional coaches, and other staff around the building to make sure that they are all working together to meet the needs of all the students in our building. And that's about it.
All right, thank you, April. Now Cindy's going to talk a little bit about our needs assessment, which is how we determine students who are in those small group learnings. And then also we'll get into parent and caregiver information and family engagement with Jamie. So go ahead, Cindy.
The needs assessment, it's a bit different than the comprehensive needs assessment Amy was talking about. She was talking about the one that encompasses the plan and looking at kids overall and our needs. We also have a district needs assessment that takes different information from assessments given in the district, and it calculates a score. And the reason we have the scores calculated is to allow us as Title I teachers and classroom teachers and to talk about students and who has the most needs. So when we get those scores, what we do is we take the students with the highest need and we look at what we can do for those students. So once we get that information, the Title I teachers may have to do further testing with that student to see specifically what the needs are and what's keeping them from achieving grade level success. And then after that testing, that extra testing is done, we would choose an appropriate intervention. Now, sometimes those interventions are a small group, as April said, in the classroom. Sometimes they are a pull-out with Title I teachers, and there are times when that is done on a one-to-one basis. But this document really drives who is in most need in our schools of Title I support.
Go ahead, Cindy, keep going with your parent and caregiver involvement.
Okay,
That's
so
right.
the next slide, Title I has always been a very important vehicle for trying to make connections with the parent caregivers and bringing them into the child's learning. It is extremely important that parents are involved in the learning, the journey of that child as they go through school. And these are some things that I'd like to elaborate on a bit that you can do at home, even more so than laid out in the school compact. First one, encourage your child to read. Helping your child become a reader is the single most important thing you can do to help your child to succeed in school and in life. Reading helps children in all school subjects. Talk with your child. Talking and listening also plays a major role in children's school success. It is through hearing family members talk and through responding to that talk that young children begin to pick up on language skills they need to do well. Monitor homework. Let your child know that you think education is important and how why homework needs to be completed. Monitor TV viewing and video game playing. American children on average spend far more time watching TV and playing video games than they do completing homework or other school-related activities. Just something to keep in mind as your children do spend that time, on a screen. Help your child learn to use the internet properly and effectively. The internet has become an important part of how we learn and interact with one another. Children must be able to navigate the internet appropriately, keyword appropriately, making sure that they're using it for learning and for appropriate information that they're taking in as they grow. Encourage your child to be responsible and to work independently. Taking responsibility and working independently are important qualities for school success, especially as our younger students are moving from a K-3 world into a 4-6 world and then on to the high school. And finally, attending or participating in some school engagement activities, getting involved with activities at your child's school, whether it's attending a chance meeting or an activity planned by the staff.
Thank you, Cindy. So next up, we'll have Jamie talk a little bit about some of our district family engagement events that are upcoming this year.
Thank you. Thank you for the segue also, Cindy, into this slide. We're right now in our annual parent meeting for November, but I want you to pay close attention that we are going to offer another event in November. It's called the Spotlight on Reading. It's a K-7 virtual event, and I'll go over it on the next slide a little bit more in detail. But we want you to know that we will be sending out information through either Class Dojo or your Pride Weekly to sign up for that. Hopefully by the end of next week is our goal. We do have some events planned, and I want you to know that this plan was made last spring when we were hopeful that we would be meeting in person. So we may need to make some changes and meet virtually like we are today for future events. If you'll go to the next slide, I'll go over the event that we want to offer in November yet. So we purchased a program called Spotlight on Reading through Scholastic. It is offered for students in grades K through 7. It will be a virtual event this year, and we're going to try to use our learning management system called Canvas that I know all of you are getting to know better recently. Each family would receive a free book, and within the program, throughout Canvas, we would have modules, and the topics are listed below. So please look forward to finding a sign-up sheet within the coming week. Okay, Amy.
All right. Thank you, Jamie. So we're kind of at the end of our presentation, and we are being very flexible with what we want our family engagement events to look like for our upcoming year, because we know that that flexibility is of utmost importance during this time of safety and people feeling safe in their learning, and also for their family as they access these resources. So we will provide opportunities for learning more about. If you have questions for Canvas, we're actually going to be ready to deploy our Parent Canvas help page tomorrow on our website, which we'll be sharing out with our families. So the last slide, we have a survey that April quickly just clicked on. There's a little bit of a shortened link and also a QR code, and Kathy will talk a little bit more about that. But we wanted to pause to see if there's anyone who's listening in that might have a question that we could help answer. I know it's a lot of information. It's looking good. Heather, we good over there?
Yep.
All right, so I just want to tell you how much we appreciate your time in allowing us to share a little bit. We will be sharing this link not only on Dojo and in our messaging to parents, but also we'll be doing a condensed version for our high school families, because they also are a school-wide title school this year, and that's new this year, so we're excited to extend that opportunity to our high school students and staff as well. So Kathy, if you want to wrap it up, and thanks everyone for being here.
Sure. The last slide has the survey, and it's just to help us promote some parent involvement, and we want to be able to best support your students. So if everybody could just take some time to fill out the survey, it'll help guide us through our efforts, and we can help service your kids and hopefully get some community involvement and some parent involvement and get all our kids reading and doing great things.
All right, thanks Kathy. Thanks everyone. And again, we'll be sharing out not only this recording, but that PowerPoint presentation if you want to take that survey at a later date and time. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.